All right, we'll call this public hearing to order. The purpose of this public hearing is to consider the adoption of an ordinance permitting the Dickinson County Circuit Court Clerk's Office to pay a one-time bonus. Larry, would you care to explain this a little bit, just so there's no confusion about what's going on?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The purpose of this hearing, of course, is going to be, as Mr. Chairman said, to allow the Circuit Court Clerk's Office to pay a one-time bonus to their staff. They have 4 full-time employees and 1 part-time employee. With this, the clerk has some monies collected through Technology Fund and other funds that are collected and handled through the clerk's office. And so they would be using those funds to pay the bonus with. No funding would be coming out of the county's general fund. The county would have to pay the bonus and the associated taxes, and then the monies that the county spent would be reimbursed back from the clerk. He's already ready to prepare a check and reimburse us back for that if this passes. So.
Thank you, Mr. Barton. Is there any public remarks? If there is anyone here that would like to make a public remark in regard to this ordinance, you may approach the podium and do so now, or you may call, if anyone would like to make a telephonic remark, you may do so 276-333-0357. Any calls, Mr. Mullins?
No, sir.
I'll probably let this go to 5:55 and then we'll maybe shut it down. Any calls, Mr. Mullins?
No, sir.
Thank you. You didn't go right in. Thank you. So, any calls, Mr. Mullins?
No, sir.
Anybody that'd like to make a remark? Hear a motion to adjourn the public hearing, if the pleasure of the board.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any other remarks or discussion by any member? All those in favor of adjourning, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes well. We'll be in recess until 6 p.m. All right, we will now call this regular monthly meeting of the Dickinson County Board of Supervisors to order. If we will, let's join our hearts here together in a brief word of prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for another beautiful day that you've given us here on earth. We thank you for our community. We thank you for all the blessings you've given on each of us. Dear God, we ask you to continue to be with Doris Rife and the Rife family as we continue and our county continues to mourn the loss of Donnie. Heavenly Father, we don't know and we don't understand why you do what you do, but we just trust that it's all in your will and then further to your kingdom, dear Lord. But please continue to be with that family and anyone else that's lost a loved one this holiday season. Please be with those families, and please be with the families that are sick and shut in and anyone in the hospital, dear Lord. Continue to please bless our first responders, our sheriff's office, our volunteer firemen and women, our rescue squad, and the first responding personnel. Dear Lord, I ask you to bless this county as we move forward into 2024. Bless our leadership. Bless the leaders on this board, leaders that work for this board and this county to move this county forward. Dear God, please have your hand over them and let's move and continue to see Dickinson County move forward. It's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen. I'll lead us in the pledge, Roger.
Or all face the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That brings us to item 2 on the agenda, approval of the November meeting minutes.
If there's no questions, I make a motion that we approve those minutes.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
As well. Brings us to item 3 on the agenda, which is approval formally of the agenda. I believe, Mr. Barton, there is one piece. I believe Mr. McPeak has a report back from his committee that was
Yes, sir.
appointed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There's also an agenda addendum left at each of your seats that we added an item 11A under other business for the holiday calendar for consideration. And at the same time, you are correct, Mr. Albert McPeak asked to address the board, and there's a second handout from Dickinson County Emergency Services Committee. If we could add that as item 11B.
So we'll do the holiday calendar and Mr. McPeak on 11. That'd be fine.
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Barton, I forgot to ask you to put on the agenda about that surplus building down at Irvington. Can we add that tonight to declare that as
I think we
surplus?
can. There's the surplus down at Irvington. There is a greenhouse there. Of course, we had the property and then we sent it to the IDA, and then since went to Southwest Properties. Was that something we could take up, you think?
We can add it to the agenda to discuss.
I
Okay.
forgot to
We can do
tell
that,
you
so-
that,
So
but
let's
do
someone had
11C.
asked me about it and I
So what are
discussed
we
it.
calling it?
We'll do surplus property, EES, Irvington Elementary.
Can we do it under 11 also?
Yeah,
Okay, we'll make
11,
that
let's do
11C.
11C. Is that it? Any other adjustments, modifications,
And I
or?
apologize, I had just forgot to ask you to add that.
So we'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda with added 11A, B, and C. Yeah, is there a motion to that effect?
I make a motion that we approve the agenda with the additions of 11A, B, and C.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
As well, thank you all. Item 4 brings us to our consent agenda piece.
Mr. Chair, before we get into that, if I could take one moment.
Yes, sir.
On that. I'd like to take a minute. This is going to be our last meeting. We have 2 members that are rotating off. We have Mr. Peters and Mr. Evans, and I'd like to take just a minute. We got a little stuff here to recognize you with. If I can get both of you come up here to the front with me. We've got each of you a little something. Both of you gentlemen have served the county very well. We're very blessed to work with both of you all, to serve with both of you all. You've both been very passionate. A lot's been accomplished through the work of you 2 gentlemen as well as the rest of the board members. But we want to take a minute here. We have a couple of plaques to present here. The first one I'm going to read here to Ron. It's in appreciation to Ron Peters for 8 years of service and dedication to the citizens of Dickinson County. It's Dickinson County Board of Supervisors, Sand Lake District, presented December 19th, 2023. And Josh, we have one for you as well. In appreciation to Josh Evans for 4 years of service and dedication to the citizens of Dickinson County. Dickinson County Board of Supervisors, Willis District, presented December 19th, 2023. Thank you, John. That's great. You go off this side.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yep, come on, Ron.
Okay.
It's all right, no. Appreciate it.
Crazy or what might happen, so.
And appreciation to Ron for being Santa Claus.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you all. Caught me off guard there, Larry. Thank you for that. So that takes us to our item 4, consent agenda piece.
Hey, we didn't break any rules. That wasn't on the agenda.
That's fine. Yeah, that's
I cleared
great.
his wheel first.
He
so.
did. Surprise.
I want to commend Mr. Dusty here for the
I
yearly
know, it's
report.
unreal, I was reading it.
Very good, and I want to commend him and thank him for this yearly report. Very impressive, and all of, he and all of them have done a wonderful job collecting litter in the county, and they deserve a plaque.
They've done a very good job, and we appreciate,
No, they have really
Derek
done
Kendrick
good work.
and, allowing the community service workers to work with that as far as Melissa Gallagher, as far as with her, program as well. They're providing staff to Dusty each day to go out and pick up litter. On the countywide pickups, the big days, they bring out, as many as 20 at a time, so couldn't do it without them as well, so.
Very impressive.
I was very impressed with it also.
I don't think have we had this before?
Yeah, we had.
I mean, a complete
Oh,
yearly
the-
report?
About litter control.
I don't
I don't
think
know
that
that.
we'd had a year's
I don't think
report.
you yearly-
Hey, I would like to
This
say
is the
something.
first year that he's been over.
Well, I want to commend him for what he's done.
Yeah,
He's done a great job.
right.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to say something. I've been on this board 8 years when I'm done tonight, and I want to tell you that the litter control has never been so effective, and mainly because of a part-time guy that we hired to do it. I watched that failure after failure for years, and we just needed to change to the part-time guy. And he's been running it far more efficiently.
We're grateful for everybody's
Also,
help.
Bo Dawson, I want to commend him too for his efforts in litter. Is that who you was talking about, Ron?
What's
Yeah,
that?
Dusty and.
Dustin.
Dusty and Bo.
And,
yeah.
and Bo too,
Bo
Bo's
too.
done a
Bo's
good job.
doing great
Bo's
too, but
doing
I
a great
mean,
job too, and-
Dusty's the guy that's really in the weeds, I think, isn't he?
He is,
Yeah.
he's out, boots on the ground.
But not
every day.
taking away from Bo. Bo's also gotta chase dogs too.
Yeah, I know. So he,
Keeps him
commend
busy.
Bo. For all of them.
And it looks like in the month of November, the animal control responded to 87 calls. So that's what, averaging almost 3 a day.
I thought that was really awesome.
I'll make a motion, if there's no other comments or what, to accept the consent agenda.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second him.
All those in favor, or is there any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. Brings us to item 5, public comment. Mr. Sturgill, you want to read the public comment protocol, please?
Yes, there shall be a time limit for each individual speaker of 3 minutes. A representative of a group may have up to 5 minutes to make a presentation. The representative shall identify the group at the beginning of his or her presentation. Speakers are not permitted to donate time to other speakers. No speaker's time shall be extended except by unanimous consent of the board. And then prohibited conduct, persons appearing before the board will not be allowed to campaign for public office, promote private business ventures, use profanity or vulgar language, use language which insults or demeans any person when directed at a public official or employee when not related to his or her official duties. However, citizens have the right to comment on the performance, conduct, and qualifications of public figures, make frivolous statements, interrupt other speakers, or engage in behavior that disrupts the meeting. engage in behavior that intimidates others, address the board on issues that do not concern the services, policies, or affairs of the county.
Thank you.
I do have a comment. Just forewarning, if you get up there and it goes too long, I may not visit your house on December 24th.
Podium's open if anybody'd like to make a public remark, and the phone is open again, 276-333-0357.
Usual, nobody has public comment.
One more call for the phone line, 276-333-0357. One last call for the podium.
Hey, I was joking about my comment too, but
You never do visit my house, but for me, I don't get hardly anything for Christmas.
How come?
I don't know.
All right, we will move on from public comment. Brings us to item 6, Mr. Barton.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. What you have before you in item 6 is going to be the agreement that we do each year between the Department of Health and the Dickinson County Board of Supervisors. And, of course, this is the amount that we have in our budget for funding for them. And it's $449,344. That's what we had budgeted. And, of course, with this, the past couple of years, at year end, whenever they did reconciliation, last year some monies came back to us. And since the last meeting, Risa from BDH has reached out to me, and they have a refund amount of $83,001.65 that will be coming back to us after they reconciled last fiscal year. They'll be coming back. So that will help with some of the things we talked about with the budget last meeting, some of the things. And, not to get off track here, but I am working on the budget, going back and looking at a little more detailed look, a harder look at things to go back, and hopefully I'll be back,
See, didn't last year we
January
let
or
them
February.
pave their parking lot?
We did with some of the excess funds that we had
Yes.
that we did, and that really helped them out, and they were very appreciative of that.
Yeah.
But it's just a standard agreement that we do each year, and it requires, formal approval by the board. But there's really no changes to what we've been doing, and it's the same amount that we have in the current year's budget for them, so.
You want to have any questions for Mr. Barton or Mr. Sturgill on this agreement? If there's not any questions, we hear a motion to, hear a motion to approve it.
I make that motion that we approve the agreement with the Dixon County Health Department.
Or second.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion or questions? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye as well, Madam Chair, unanimous, or Madam Clerk, unanimous. That brings us to item C. We have 3 appointments to the Dickinson County Behavioral Health Board. Mr. Mullins, are these 3 district appointments?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so it looks like Mr. Rose would be the Clintwood District, Mr. Deal, the Sand Lake District, and Mr. Fry, the Willis. I'll start with you, Ms. Sluss, if you'd like to make your nomination.
Yeah, I want to reappoint Mr. Andrew Rose.
I'll second that. All those, any discussion on this appointment? All those in favor of appointing Mr. Rose, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. Unanimous, Madam Clerk, for Mr. Andrew Rose to be reappointed. Mr. Peters,
I'd like to reappoint Dennis Dill.
I'll second that as well. Any discussion on Mr. Deal's reappointment to this board? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. course, I guess on this, Mr. Sturgill, I can make a motion. This is my district
You can.
appointment, so I would like to reappoint Mr. TJ Fry to this board, please. It's my district nomination.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion on this appointment? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye as
I'll
well.
say nay.
4-1, Mr. Peters says no, Madam Clerk. That brings us next to I'll be blunt, I don't have a clue what this does, so, I mean,
Mr. Mullins is here, the Community Policy Management Team. If you want to share anything on that.
Mr. Chairman, this is the committee that's put forth in conjunction with the Department of Social Services. We're the ones that control the funding for the Dickinson County FAT team, for the money that we spend on youth services for children that are in usually residential facilities, hospitals, those kind of things. There's some funding that is filtered through DSS. And what it is it is community involvement from representatives. They want somebody from the health department, one from behavioral health, one from DSS. You know, a lot of the organizations that are a large part of what, you know, the service of those.
No, I appreciate
And then you have a board of supervisors representative which is Miss Sluss
How often do y'all meet?
currently.
I start asking how
Monthly.
often you meet,
I
Kev?
was
Once a
gonna say,
month.
Once a month.
Yeah, we meet once a
Susan
month.
Mullins is still, that can't be right. She's still listed as.
Susan Mullins, it shouldn't be,
Yeah,
Mr.
that's-
Was it just a typo or something?
it's on
Yeah,
here.
that's been a typo or something.
Y'all do
because
meet every month, though.
We do meet every month.
So-
Tom Baker
No,
is the one that's
Susan
currently
was
sitting in
appointed.
Right, it's
from the
the-
Department of Social Services, and Tom is the one that we would put up for motion.
So it should be Tom Baker, not?
Should be Tom Baker from Department of
Okay.
Social Services.
Amy Atkins from BDH and Thomas Baker from DSS.
I
and Tommy
serve on that
Taylor.
board, but I feel like that,
Did
I'm
we
not-
ever appoint Tom, or did?
No, that's what you're doing tonight.
Oh, okay,
That's for
I was ready to
tonight.
say, now Susan was still on here.
She was as head of DSS.
Right.
And I think Mr. Moore just not had time to attend those meetings, so I think he's appointed Tom Baker in his
Okay.
stead.
so. What about Ginger Kennedy? She's in yellow here. What does that mean?
Well, I don't think that page is, you need to flip the next page.
It's just currently on, but I think they're,
Yeah, that's not part of the
Not necessarily
CPMT.
yeah.
I feel like I've not been, it is it's a very sad board because there's so many, there's children mostly with very
Lot of problems,
severe
yes.
behavior problems. And oftentimes they have to be taken to other facilities outside this county and even maybe across, even state.
We do have them out of state,
Out of
yes.
state, and it's sad to think that they can't be helped sometimes, and a lot of money is spent to help these children, and I don't mind to stay on the board. I feel like that if somebody else would like to do it, it would be fine with me, but I don't feel like that I contribute much to the board. Kevin, you and Ambra know what's going on much more than I do, but it's a very humbling experience and very sad.
There are some very sad stories that come before that board, and some of the decisions that have to be made in terms of, placing children sometimes across the state lines, and all the way across the state to try to get the help that they need. But on the good side, we try to provide a lot of treatment within the county as well, so children can stay close to home. So there is a large portion of that as well.
And it's very expensive. I mean, these facilities are, I just wish we had the ability to help more people. And I do appreciate what y'all do in the county to help these children,
Yes.
but I don't mind to stay on it.
So do we need
Well,
a
I mean, you're not
motion
up, though,
to
technically.
appoint Tom?
So look, the three people that are up are on the page 2 of this, right? We're not appointing the whole board, so.
Yeah.
So I don't know who Amy Atkins is. I have no clue.
She's with the health department.
Amy's with Health
Well, I don't
Department.
see,
And then Tom Baker is up. So these aren't district appointments, these are representative.
These
of
are,
the
these are
agencies.
agency representatives,
Right.
except for Tanya Tillers. We needed a parent representative,
Correct.
and we've always had a terrible time filling that
And
parental role.
Mr. Mullins, these three individuals here, they're attentive to the meetings and
Yes.
they are good members.
They are.
So I don't have a problem just appointing these three, because I don't know anything about it. And if he attends the meetings and they're good members, I take Mr. Mullins' word for it myself. If we want to move this along.
I'll make the motion that we formally appoint Amy Adkins, Thomas Baker, and Tanya Tiller to the CP MT Board.
And I'll second that motion. Is there any other discussion or any other nominations? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Aye as well.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Ms. Kaiser.
Thanks. Thank
Thank you,
you.
Mr. Mullins.
Thank you, Kevin.
That brings us to the Public Welfare Board. I believe the Willis District appointment is up, and I would like to submit the name of Gary Harless as the Willis District appointee for my district.
Is that the James Counts
Yes, ma'am.
position?
Wasn't he removed from that board once before?
I have no idea.
Yeah, you do, because you should have been removed.
I don't think so.
Yeah, because we read it after you appointed him to PSA, there was a letter where Bud Phillips specifically had to remove him because he undermined the whole hiring process. And I
How
think it
could
was your
the-
mother-in-law
how could
that
the,
got hired,
How could the attorney remove somebody from the board?
because they threw out the candidates that applied for the job, basically, and,
So the
And then
attorney
you
removed
guys-
somebody
you-
from the board?
yeah, the board did.
Oh, okay.
Gary was a part of, you know this, Shelby said something during the PSA meeting.
Not
You
the
also,
meeting.
the thing that I was shocked at, that I didn't know until after you brought that up, Shelby, is Josh was your board appointee and you were the ringleader. And I believe it was your mother-in-law that got hired after that.
You know, we have always tried to support the candidates that each district appointed, and I appreciate people, voting for the ones that I appoint. I'm gonna make a motion, and second that we appoint him as that, because he does an excellent job on PSA.
All right, so it's my motion, so I guess I'll do a roll call vote, just to make it simple. Ms. Willis, how do you vote?
I'll vote aye.
Ms. Sluss?
I vote aye.
Ms. Kaiser?
Yes, aye.
Mr. Peters?
Nay.
Yes for me. Thank you, Madam Clerk, and thank you, members. The next one's Ms. Sluss's appointment.
I want to thank Laura Stanley, Laura Deal Stanley, Laura Stanley for her service on this board. But I would like to appoint Miss Gilda Rose to serve on this board. She has years of service at the jail and the correctional facility, so I would like to appoint her.
I'll second that. Any other discussion or questions? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye as well.
Aye as well.
That takes us to RIPA Board. Mr. Barton, you want to elaborate just a little bit?
I will. The Luncheon Pine Regional Industrial Facilities Authority is made up of the Luncheon Pine counties and the city of Norton. So you got Wise County, Lee County, Scott County, city of Norton, and then Dickinson County. It's a very active authority, a lot of projects going on. The development near the 2358 interchange there in Norton, where they're building the building and all the development there, that's a RIFA project that we're part of. It's regional, it's revenue sharing, working regionally with your neighbors. The way that authority is structured, the members are the county administrators and the economic development directors of each county or the city of Norton. So, currently it's myself and Dana, and my term is up to expire December 31st, 2023, so.
I'll make a motion that we reappoint Larry to that board.
Second. Any other discussion or nominations? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye as well. Brings us to item 7E, Planning Commission. Mr.
Chair, the Planning Commission is a committee that's not been active in my 3 years here, but we are this spring, actually, I've already started gathering data for an updated plan on that, so we will have meetings starting this spring. So we do need to get the, 3 individuals appointed back. Again, my term expires, Mr. Peters, and then Ms. Barbara will.
Do the bylaws or whatever mandate district appointments? I believe they appear to be district appointments, but I don't know if that's mandatory.
I think they are, because that's how I got
Yes,
on there
that's the way.
originally, but my position's Board of Supervisors
Board of
member.
Supervisors.
I do not have
Yes.
an appointment on that.
Well, you give us our little packet, let's see what it
We're
says.
showing Ronald Edwards for Kennedy, but that may be
He,
incorrect.
no, Ron Edwards is
That's
mine.
Willis, Stanley.
He's mine.
Who's Barbara Wilbur? Is that,
That's
Is
my
that
appointment.
Larry,
that's Willis?
Yeah, it says in our packet here, saying that it's actually Willis.
you was one that appointed her, 'cause
Yeah,
I do
correct.
not know that lady.
I don't know her either.
But I do not have one.
Well, can you?
It says
put-
Ronald Edwards in
No,
packet
that's,
Larry's.
yeah,
No,
that's
he's
mine.
Vision
Okay, so
Family
that's my
District.
district.
So our handout Larry worked on, it's got a little bit of,
Okay.
Delano appointed me originally to it as a district appointment, and then later when I was on the Board of Supervisors, I took the Board of Supervisors member.
I don't think they've ever
Position.
been.
Can't you appoint somebody if Ron
And we can come back on this. We won't be meeting before January. We can come back on this in
I-
January,
well,
get clarity on that.
with
I would
my
like to
seat
make mine.
being open, I'd have more respect for Mr. Hall to make this appointment going forward, just to be honest with you, because that's kind of important for him.
Well, what about, is Ron up?
Barbara Wilbur, Ron Peters, and myself.
So, yes, so he's not on there, just me, yeah, I'm not gonna be on it. Yeah, you guys
Then
just
couldn't you
won't
appoint
wait, then
somebody there, Shelby, if Ron's
let
not
the
gonna
new
be on
board
it?
pick it.
Yeah. Well, let's table
Board
this and take
member?
another look at those and the districts, and we'll revisit this in January if that's okay.
That's fine
She
with me.
says that Ron is a board member appointee.
Right.
I don't know that they've ever met in the 4 years I've been on.
Well, see, prior to me,
So-
Shelby, it was Donnie Rife was the Board of Supervisors
Yeah.
member appointed. And,
Have you met in 4 years?
no, nothing's been going on
Appoint
with it.
yourself.
All right, let's move on then. We'll just
I don't
table
want-
that. I don't think we need any sort of
It's not
motions. We'll pass it. It takes us to item 8, Mr. Barton.
Sure.
Is
Thank
that
you.
all right with everybody? Just move on from that?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Item 8, Mr. Barton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Before you, in
Did we
your packet
appoint
there,
Larry
you
back
have
on?
the information on our health insurance renewal. All the benefits are staying the same on this, but as you know, our premiums have 2 parts. One part is more the fixed cost that goes to pay, like for our gap insurance coverage initially, the first $6,850. And then we also have reinsurance coverage for claims over $50,000. The good thing about our renewal is that those amounts are not going up. They're gonna be the same. But with our fund, if you remember in years past, we were getting some substantial refunds in the past that were coming back. And the current year that we're in, we reduced our premiums, so that we weren't paying the money in and it was holding for a year and then coming back to us at the end. We're trying to more match what our claims were. But of course, we had, some high claims this year and things. We're gonna be okay throughout this year, but, we are gonna go back to the funding that we were doing last year, not this current year that we're in. So it is gonna create an increase, but this is going into our, funding that actual claims are paid out of. So again, if we don't have the high claims, then we will be getting, part of that money, refunded back. So you'll see your new premiums there, before you. The employee only is going from $719 to $792. And right down the line, but overall, we're seeing an increase of a little less than $300,000 over the course of the year on that. And again, this is not money that's paid out for a premium or something that, is a fixed cost that we wouldn't get back. It's just going into our account to pay claims out of, and if our claims are less than that, then they will be coming back to us. So for the remainder of the year, because this is on a calendar year, January 1st to December 31st, and of course, we're in the middle of our budget cycle here, and so we've got 6 more months that we'll be paying these higher premiums. In our insurance reserve, we have sufficient funding there, so we'll pay this difference out of that reserve for these last 6 months, and then look at this during budget season. But again, no changes to our medical benefits or anything here. All of our deductibles and things are the same. So
So what does the employee pay out of their paycheck?
Family coverage is $100.
Family coverage is $100 a month?
We're not recommending that we do. I mean, it's pleasure of the board, whatever the board would want to do. I think it's $50 employee only, and then like $60 employee spouse. Employee children's a little more. I don't have that before me here, but that's just our contribution towards these premiums, so.
The recommendation to renew it.
It is, my recommendation is renew it, same terms and conditions.
I'll make a motion that we renew our insurance policy.
I'll second. Any other discussion or questions? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye as well. Brings us to item 9. That was in regard to the public hearing we had earlier.
So with this is the actual ordinance that we discussed through the public hearing that would give authority to pay a bonus to those 5 employees, not to exceed $12,603.66 in total between the 5. And again, this money will be coming back from the circuit court clerk's account back into our general fund to reimburse for the cost of this, so.
I make a motion that we allow him to do those payments because it's money that the clerk's office receives that they haven't used.
Correct.
And I'll second. Any other questions or discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. Item 10, Mr. Barton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item 10, this is the customary housekeeping procedure that we do each year. Our December meeting, got moved a week earlier before Christmas, and we will have some bills. Of course, it comes up that'll need to be paid before we get into January. So it's what we do each year. Authorization from the board needs to be made for the county administrator to approve payment of any invoices received from December 20th to December 31st, 2023. And of course, these will be, as always, in the packet with your January packet for formal approval by the board, review and approval. And if there were to be anything out of the ordinary or, it's not customary or usual, I'll definitely reach out to each of y'all on that to share with you before payment would be made, so.
A motion to authorize the county administrator to pay.
I make that motion that we authorize Mr. Barton.
Is there a second?
20th to the 31st.
Yes.
I'll second it.
Any other questions or discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 As well. Item 11A, we need a motion in regard to the holiday schedule to, if we so choose, give county employees the day after Christmas off. Is there any questions or discussion or thoughts or motions in regard to that?
May I ask about the garbage pickup? Would they run that day?
They would be running that day because we've got a separate list of holidays for
That's
them,
my day.
and the 25th is their holiday, so,
And you do have a lot of,
yeah, there is a lot of
So
trash.
they
out there.
would
They would
actually
actually be
work
running,
and then we
correct.
pay them, okay.
Yes.
So,
And the state has given them a half a day on the 22nd
Yes, this
and
Friday.
a full day for the
A full day on the
25th.
25th. And the discrepancy, the state has the state calendar, which is what we follow, but also the Supreme Court of Virginia, separate calendar, and that's what the court system follows in the judicial center over there. And they also get to 26. So as Mr. Evans can attest, there's been a lot of discussion and uproar between the different offices with some, not working, some working, things like that. And we have reached out to constitutional offices in our building, and they do plan on closing the 26th.
Bill, I make a motion, we give them the $26.
I'll second.
It's kinda hard to come back the day after
Yeah, it's real
Christmas.
hard if you're
Yeah.
traveling. So there's been a motion second. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
As well. Item B,
are we discussing the January too? The,
that's right, I'm glad you mentioned that.
well,
I
we
know
did-
there've been some,
you've got the 2nd of January.
Right,
I
and
don't know
with
if anybody
the
gets that off.
calendar, the county employees get off
Course, I-
for New
I
Year's,
work
January
that week.
1st, and the courts are off the 1st and 2nd, so. again, I think the Christmas is the most important.
So the courts are off January 2nd.
The courts are off January 2nd on the
there's
calendar. If you
somebody that
flip
gets
over,
it.
it's highlighted on the bottom of the second page.
They
So
get off. Does any other state agency get off, or?
no, the state calendar is what we follow ourselves, and we're just getting off the first is what it shows.
I
So
think that, actually, I think Christmas is more important to the
it's definitely the
employees.
most important
Oh,
thing to do
yeah.
on that, so.
Yeah.
Watching ball games.
Not many people,
You say it anyway.
I'll stay watching ball games, yeah.
So do we want to do the January 2nd or no?
No, I think we just give them the day after Christmas.
Mrs.
For
Willis,
that.
you agree with that?
I agree.
Okay. Peters? Anything on
I
that?
could go either way. I don't understand why there's two different schedules between them.
Well, I don't either.
Yeah,
I don't
you
know,
know, I,
man.
The
Normally they're
court's
same.
following the Supreme Court, and
Yeah.
we follow the state.
All right,
That-
well, let's
that it-
move on then, if
Okay.
that's all right. If there's no other motions. 11B, Mr. McPeak, would you like to take the floor, sir? And I want to say that when this committee was established, it was sort of spontaneous, and you all stepped up and done a lot of work, and I appreciate everything you've done. I know there's going to be a lot more work ahead of you, and I appreciate you having this prepared for us and being here tonight, so I thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the Board of Supervisors, Mr. Barton, I want to thank everyone for allowing us the opportunity to voice some opinions and make some suggestions for the future. I know it's been a rocky road for fire and EMS in Dickinson County during the past year, and we hope to make things better in the coming years. To get started, everyone on this committee had one goal in mind, and that goal was to better the service that we provide to the citizens of the county. A lot of our EMS people, a lot of our fire people spend countless hours out working, and that work is really not for us. We do get some enjoyment out of it, but the work is for the citizens. On September 19th, 2023 is the date that this committee was formed during a special call meeting. We have met one time formally. We have also spoken informally outside of an organized meeting to try to get some ideas together. Different folks have got to get together at different times. The current situation that we've found and agree on is basically the same thing that we've already stated. The $27,500 allotment per agency per year is inadequate.
I mean, is that
Straight
not
up.
obvious?
Very, very obvious. We've looked into what the agencies need, what the agencies do, and how the agencies are structured. Generally, the fire departments seem to be most in need for equipment purchase and repair. There's very, very few reliable grant sources for fire apparatus purchase. Some of those apparatus are very old. EMS agencies are a different animal. EMS agencies have the opportunity to obtain grant funding for the purchase of our vehicles. Generally, with the grant funding, we end up asking for a local match, or there is a required local match, and then the agencies come to the board and ask for that. I'll get a little more into that here in a minute. EMS agencies primarily need personnel. High quality EMS personnel are very few and far between, and they're very expensive. Plus, there's all kinds of job opportunities out there for EMS people. If you have an EMS certification, you can get a job. Currently, the rescue squads in Dickinson County are not able to provide competitive pay. We're not able to provide benefits to those employees, and that's a problem that we'd like to address in the future. EMS workers can go 20 minutes up the road and get a better paying job with actual benefits, and that harms the citizens of Dickinson County. We also found, and this is your all's doing, that the Board of Supervisors has generously covered this Line of Duty Act funding and generously provides for the insurance that we need to operate these agencies. And we're thankful for that. Also, we found that fire department revenue is small and is really insignificant for meeting needs. However, EMS billing is a significant revenue source. All these agencies are doing everything they can to improve their billing revenue. Here's what we want to request for this coming year, or request for this board specifically tonight. We would like to ask for the ability to allow the county's fire and EMS agencies to explore purchasing vehicle repair parts through the county, possibly to see if we can get a better price. And maybe work that out with Mr. Barton's office or whoever does that, whoever controls that purchase. Because if we can save $100 on a part purchased through the county versus us going to Advanced Auto Parts or Napa or anywhere else and buying that part, we've saved a little money. We're also requesting that the truck shop be directed to help repair some of the vehicles and maybe create some sort of prioritization on emergency versus non-emergency vehicles, depending on what's needed. Some repairs take a long time, some don't. Third, we're going to ask that this committee continue throughout the rest of the fiscal year. I'm not sure if procedurally you all are allowed to do that and make that binding on the next board or not. If this committee can exist through the end of this fiscal year, we'll be able to dig into our budgets better. We'll be able to make some budget recommendations, and we'd like to be empowered to do that. Just to come to these budget workshops and say this is what we need. But in the end, I just want to thank everybody that's on the board. I want to thank Mr. Evans, Mr. Barton, Mr. Sturgill, and of course my old friends, Miss Cronkite and Miss Lyle. I've known these folks for a long time, and I'm very appreciative. And on behalf of this committee, I just want to say thank you for everything you've allowed us to do. And we look forward to working with everybody in the future.
I sincerely appreciate it. I know you got a full-time job, I know you got a family, so this is, and I know you volunteer, so, but.
This takes a little bit of time, but
No, I
I'm happy to
appreciate
do
it.
it.
I
I
really
want
do.
to see
Chair, I got
things
a
get
question.
better for the county. One of these days, I'm gonna have a heart attack and need an ambulance. Or I'm gonna know
Hope
somebody
not,
whose
but-
house is gonna catch on fire,
Mr.
and
Chair, I
we need
got a
fire
question.
protection.
Hey, was Hayside Rescue able to attend the meeting?
Grace did
Grace
come
was
to
there.
one meeting, to the organized
Okay.
meeting.
Good, good.
And we've
And
done
then
some talking
I wanted
also
to
with
clarify
Jeremy.
some things. You kind of covered it, but you do get more money in rescue.
Mm-hmm.
The fire department, they're out, they don't get hardly anything. But even with what you get, it seemed like it's just kind of about the amount that you pay minimum wage.
Right, it is.
So that's a big, huge shortfall. I wanted to mention, Prater, it's my understanding, all new equipment, new vehicles, and paid positions for firemen. And I know Grundy does paid firemen. Now, I mentioned that, when I was at the VACO meeting this year, they mentioned they had an EMS guy and they had a fire department guy, and a state policeman, that's the other agency. And one of the things they talked about was, since 2012, fire departments' volunteerism went drastically down, shrunk drastically across the whole state. They mentioned there was a bill on the governor's desk that they wanted to get signed, and I think I've seen it. I can't quote the number, HB 2245 they announced, I think that was the number, where they're gonna do a study, because this is a problem across the whole Commonwealth. EMS has got problems as well, but the training in itself is extensive and high cost because there's different certifications you have to make. So it looks like it's getting some attention at the state level, but they did mention that. And another thing is, we've had this misconception in the county that these are private organizations, but I mentioned this in a previous meeting. We authorize them to go on the road and do this job. So really, those firemen that got hurt, they potentially could sue the county because we could be liable for that because they got hurt in the line of duty.
You know, we simply want to do a better job for the citizens.
I know
And
every
we
one of you
realize
do.
that there's no funding this fiscal year or no significant funding that can be increased for the rest of the fiscal
But,
year. That's
if
why
I
we
could-
want to work towards
If
the
I could
future.
say one thing, for a community that is mainly elderly, that's our demographics, these are critical services that we've got to have. And I applaud you for putting this together, but it's basically back to what we've always said, money. This board needs to put money into this.
I think that our committee is going to work towards next fiscal
Yeah.
year, so that we can continue and hopefully improve things. But we need this open dialogue that we've created by doing this.
Now, Mr. McPeak, does fire bill your insurance if it's a home fire,
They do,
if you have?
right. But the amount recovered is so small as compared to cost.
And then you get a yearly thing from the insurance companies that Teresa divides with each.
We do, yes, we
April.
do.
You know, another thing that was mentioned at the meeting, the fire guys mentioned, there's something to do with the homeowner's insurance where $1 for every so much goes towards fire, back to the fire departments, and they were trying to get that raised to $2.
Now, I'm not sure how that funding,
I'm not sure on the details, but they did discuss that as well.
Don't they get, if you have a house fire,
But it's,
don't the owners have to sign a form and the fire department gets $1,000?
I'm not quite sure what their billing process is because I'm an EMS guy. I can tell you all about our medical insurance billing, but I'm not well versed in how the fire department billing works.
It
I
ought to
just
be
know the
something-
reimbursement's kind of low.
There ought to be something too, because a lot of times they have to go out on rigs, right? That's required. If they could, the insurance.
do y'all bill those insurance companies,
these-
car insurance?
I'm not sure how the fire department does it. I believe they do, but I'm not 100% sure. Of
Remind
course,
me,
EMS
Albert.
bills if we transport a
Who's
patient.
on this committee? Remind me.
Initially, it was myself, Ron Kendrick,
Being Kennedy?
Nathan Mullins, Ben Kennedy, and I believe there was another one.
And then they added.
Then we added-
They added Sandy Ridge to it.
Right. Bob-
Edwards and Hayside.
And
Bobby
then they added
Edwards,
Hayside to it.
and I believe Sandy Ridge Rescue and Sandy Ridge Fire ended up being added to it.
So all
Yeah, they
all of
did.
them are represented.
Basically, yes.
But the meetings are open to any.
Josh
any
tried to.
Any member that
do it
wants to
by
show up.
districts. You know, he appointed one for each district.
And I think it was actually a good idea to expand it and open it to
Right.
additional
I do
folks.
too,
But we
yeah.
gave everyone that was
Yeah.
associated with an agency and any citizen that showed up the opportunity to express their opinion as well. We really think that this is the right step, or at least a step in the right direction.
I think it's very good that y'all get together and,
And nobody wants to break the county.
whoa.
We had a
Well,
new
there's a
revenue
reason.
source,
You gotta be reasonable.
625,000 this year.
Right.
And that was the unfilled thing, services that we needed to fill.
Which we did a lot for fire and rescue with our ARCA funds that we had.
Yes, you did.
That we did really help them a lot with
Yes, you did.
problems that they had.
Hopefully, we can get together and do some proposals for the budget that might actually prevent agencies from coming in and saying, we need money. Maybe create some funds in reserve so that you can draw out of that instead of the agencies coming and asking for that to come out of the general fund for the county. And balance your budget a little bit easier.
That would be very good.
But I appreciate you taking all your time to do this.
Albert, you
I
did a
really
good
do.
job.
You did a great job.
You did a good job, Albert. And I know you're very knowledgeable on the rescue squad and everything, and I think you did a really good job. This is a good report.
I think it was.
I mean, I think the key, that I would leave you with, and I know the members, Mr. Barton may not want me to say this, but you need to be very aggressive in this budget cycle. You don't need to wait until May and
Right.
come in here and say, we want A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You need to start doing it now, and you need to get the budgetary meetings and be here at the workshops and be here, because all this is a waste of time if it don't get in the budget. What you need, what you want, you're gonna sit here and spin your wheels and be, December of next year and have the same conversation. So where the stuff's created is in those budget workshops,
Right.
and in the budget.
And
So,
that's why we'd like to
You know.
continue the work of the committee
I was at
through
their
the fiscal
meeting
year.
and going to their meetings, and so I'll be working with them and,
But this
Right.
board has to work the budget too. We didn't work.
Well, I know, right, but we don't
We
know,
just-
none of us are on
And,
the.
and they were
fire
coming every
department.
other month for something.
I would like to see us create a budget
Yeah.
that says, this is how much money is allotted. We've got to work within this budget.
Well, that's kind of what we've done.
But I think
Oh,
you need
yeah,
to
but-
But it's not very much
Albert, I
That's
think
money.
not
you need to assign, you need to put together the need too.
Correct.
Because this has to become something like the sheriff's department or all the other offices where it's a funded thing.
Yeah. And we have to show, an actual use for the monies as well. An actual constructive use instead of just going out and blowing taxpayer money. And that's what we hope to accomplish, or that's what I hope to accomplish if we can get into their budget workshops.
Well, as far as I'm concerned.
You've always been invited. The
We've
fire
always
departments
said-
and all that were
We've always
invited
said an
many years.
afternoon for you all.
Well, that's why, none of that matters. What I'm saying is moving forward though,
That's what we're gonna do.
it's critical. If things aren't in the budget, then again, you're gonna be right here every month. We need a new engine for tanker one. Where are we gonna get $10,000? And it's just gonna be piecemealed until we get, some sort of concrete solution. And there, you offer a lot of alternatives, and I guess Larry will probably get with the truck shop and see how much they can accommodate or not accommodate, additional repairs. And, we're not maxed out there. They're very efficient, do a great job, but how much more can they take? I don't know the answer to that, so.
Well, they have to make sure the trucks are on the road first.
But anyway, certainly the committee's gonna continue to exist. So,
Thank you, sir.
all right, thank you.
Al.
thank you.
Thank you, Albert.
That takes us to items 11C. Ms. Willis, that was your piece.
Well, I had someone ask me about the little greenhouse that's down at the Irvington Elementary School. And I talked to Larry, and he said we'd have to declare it surplus and advertise it as surplus property, correct? Do we have to advertise?
Right, at the time, that's what I shared with Mr. Sturgill here, I was showing him the pictures of it, telling him what it,
Yeah. It looks like it has to be taken down, and is it fiberglass?
it's like fiberglass,
That's what it
corrugated
looked like to
fiberglass
me in that
material.
picture.
Mhm.
And I would like for us to declare it as surplus property and let Mr. Barton advertise it as such. And see if we get any bids on it. They had used it for lawnmowers and mowing equipment in it, is what they used it for.
Anybody else have any thoughts on that?
I just, as long as we don't need it for something,
But technically, we had the property and then we transferred it to the IDA that same meeting, and then they, worked the deal with Southwest Properties, who owns the property now, so Mr. Sturgill indicated.
But we can reach out to Southwest Properties, see about the greenhouse, then.
Yeah.
Then if there's no issues, we can get it, declare it surplus, and then go through the surplus
well,
process.
now, they're who now in this? Cause I thought we
But I thought
transferred
we
to the
kept the
IDA.
personal property.
For the rehab.
Oh, we did retain personal property,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
But at the same time, obviously it's still on the real property, so we gotta
Yes.
coordinate with Southwest Properties
Okay, I
in order to.
understand.
Yeah, I mean, cause I don't have any qualms with them But it has to be advertised and then
Right.
they bid on it or whatever, you
Yeah.
know. but-
Correct.
After it's surplus, it's bidded on
Yeah.
instead of sold out to
Do we-
whoever's interested.
Are we gonna put it down as sealed bids?
Yes, we will on that one, so.
Just a thought, is that something that's really in our hands or do they have to do all this?
No, it would be in our hands as far as
Or
that.
the
We'd have to
IDA.
coordinate with them to remove it.
So I think you're probably gonna have to,
Declare it surplus and give me authorization to
Okay.
Correct.
advertise
so
it.
we wanna formally declare it surplus tonight then.
So I make a motion that we do declare it surplus property,
I'm
the
fine.
greenhouse.
You want to add to that, just give me authority to advertise.
And to
Dispose of
give
it.
Mr. Barton the authority to advertise it as being surplus property.
Is there a second?
I'm second. Maybe you want a second?
Any other
That's all right, you
discussion?
go ahead.
Any other discussion or questions on that? I just don't have an opinion on it.
I don't
Me
care
either.
about
I
it
haven't
either.
had
I just wanna
anybody to
make
reach
sure
out
we
to me
use it
about
if we need
anything
it.
other than a church asked me about some of the playground equipment.
So
You know.
we retained all that as well,
Yeah.
so.
But as far as, I haven't had no questions about anything else.
Who returned that?
Well, somebody asked me
The
about
board of
it.
supervisors, the playground equipment, so.
What was the IDA? We turned that all over to IDA, didn't we?
But we
Yeah, we
retained all
retained the
personal
We
property.
retained
playground
the-
equipment.
Well, there's not, is there that much playground equipment down there?
Yeah, there's
There's two,
Got the
three
pictures out
things
to
that
you all,
was,
so.
I would like to have some for my district. I've got to purchase some for West Dane, and I'd like to have some for the swing set anyway, if nobody else needs it.
Well, on that, I think we were retaining it to see if the county needed it, depending on what you did with
Camp
housing
Jacob
and
is in
stuff.
need of. Camp Jacob is
And I'd also
in
like
need
to have
of,
that bigger piece for Yates property,
playground
if nobody
equipment.
else needs it
Great.
in their district, cause I have 3 community centers in my district that you all do not
That's a
have.
great idea.
Well, we are working toward Camp Jacob, I know is their playground equipment is just about had it. But, sometimes we forget that since we have, Camp Jacob is doing a good job of bringing children in from other
No,
places.
Good job, a great job.
A great job. We have great leadership over there, and they are in need of playground equipment, and I know that our congregation has set aside a certain amount of money to help them, because playground equipment is very expensive. And I'd like to see us, I know they had some swings, a lot of swings, I believe, maybe donate some of that to the Camp Jacob. I mean,
think really-
it is, I know it is a religious place, organization, things, but at the same time, they do bring in the summer in particular, they bring in counselors, they bring in people that bring their children here from far away. And so they spend money here in the county,
There's no
so.
better asset to Dickinson County.
Yeah, Cape Jacob is a wonderful, it has grown and,
So
it's a-
you're saying you give it to them rather than giving it to our districts that need it?
well,
Well,
my
consider it.
district don't need anything, but,
No, y'all don't have no community centers in your district, I do.
I think right
I
now, we
have
just got a
3.
motion saying on the greenhouse, we need to.
Yeah,
need
that's fine.
playground
Yeah.
Equipment.
So we have a motion to declare, the greenhouse that I can't even envision for some reason. I'm trying to
It's
picture.
down in that
Oh,
bottom
it is.
field,
Picture
over
of
from
it
the
to
gas
me.
tanks.
or,
Down on, the greenhouse is in the bottom down there where you come down off of
They
the,
used it for lawnmowers
Uh,
and things.
Yeah, okay, I know
where the
where it
gas
is. Yeah, that's
tanks
right.
and stuff is
next
at.
to the treatment plant, is that what?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
right there in that area is where it is.
And so we have the motion and second. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye as well. And that ends other business. We have 12, item 12, motion, is there a motion to go into closed session?
I'll make a motion that we go into closed session pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-311A7, A, Section 2.2-3711A7, 1, litigation.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor, please, or any other discussion or any other additions? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye as well. We'll now be in closed session. We'll now be back in open session following the closed session portion of our meeting. Is there a motion to certify the closed session?
I make the motion to certify it.
Is there a
I don't have to
second?
read all that stuff.
No, you just certify that we only
Certify it.
discuss those issues.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Ms. Willis, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Ms. Sluss?
Aye.
Ms. Kaiser?
Aye.
Mr. Peters?
Aye.
Aye as well, Madam Clerk. Closed session is certified. Are there any votes or motions coming out of closed session?
None.
Hearing none, we would move on then to item 15, supervisor remarks. Ms. Willis.
Miss Rose, I'd like to wish you and Ron, well in your adventures or well, I know what you're gonna do. I don't know what Ron's gonna do, but I wish y'all well in your new positions. And we will miss you arguing to each other. But I do wish you both of you as well, and I've enjoyed serving with you.
Thank you. Ms. Sluss.
I feel the same. I wish you both the best, and Ron, whatever you do, I wish you success, and Josh, I wish you success in your new endeavor and venture. And I want to say that my little boy today's his birthday. He's 42 years old today, and Joe and I were very fortunate to get him he came through the foster care, and in 8 months he was fine. He was adopted, and he's been nothing but a joy and a blessing to Joe and I. I want to wish him a happy birthday. And there's a lot of sadness in our community. With Donnie passing, I do pray for Doris and his family, his brothers and sisters. Also for Larry Mullins, I pray for his wife and Kim. And my neighbor, Connie Smith, passed away day before yesterday. She was a very good woman. I've known her for 50 years. And, Christmas is a joyful time, but it also brings back a lot of precious memories. And the older you get, it becomes not as joyous as it once was. But still, I enjoy Christmas, but I express my condolences to all those. There's been so many that have been sick and have passed away. I give my condolences, and I thank all of you. 4 years, I can't believe it went by very fast, and I wish all of you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you. Ms. Kaiser.
I'd just like to say that I've enjoyed serving with everybody on the board. There've been some aggravating nights and long nights and crazy text messages from family of board members and stuff when you go home, but we've made it through. 48 months ago, I went home about 12:30 on our first board meeting, and I said, oh my God, number 1 down, 47 to go. February, I said, 2 down, 46 to go. And I think I probably leveled out and probably quit counting, so these 48 months have gone by pretty quickly. I appreciate my citizens for re-electing me to serve you all for another 4 years to do the very best I can. Wish Josh and Ron the very best in their next endeavors. And just wish everybody a Merry Christmas. We've had a tough year with my family. About this time last year, Beth was diagnosed with breast cancer. She's had surgery, she's had reconstructive surgery, she's had chemo, and she's facing one more surgery the 29th of this month. And we're just hoping and praying that everything goes smooth with that surgery and all of this can be behind her and that she will be in total remission and we don't have to hear this word cancer come back. She is no better than nobody else that's had cancer, and I feel for every citizen in the county that has had cancer, facing cancer, waiting on diagnosis if it is or isn't cancer. It's just a tough situation. I have a neighbor lady that I worked with that's been sent home with hospice. I told her, went and visited her in the nursing home. I said, you got to get up. We got to go back to McClure Lumber to work. And she didn't even, I mean, that just didn't even register with her. And it's so sad that, you know, people has health issues. And as Rhonda mentioned about neighbors passing away, the county has lost a very exceptional drywall guy. Eugene Moore has passed away, and he will be buried Friday. And he was an exceptional. There was people, when I worked at McClure Lumber, waited for their drywall work till he could do the job. And other people, we've seen deaths over in my area, been so many people that I knew. But we'll just wish everybody a good new year coming ahead, a good Christmas, and we just all need to realize that we need our souls right with the Lord for when this day comes.
Thank you. Peters.
I guess me. Wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And for those out in the public, I would ask that you keep an eye out on your neighbors, because a lot of people are struggling, especially now with the way the economy's been, and watch out for them. Remember what neighbors are supposed to do. Take care of each other. Thank you.
I've given probably 1,000 closing remarks or arguments in my career, and this was pretty tough. First, want to thank Larry. Would have never made it through these 3 years without you and agreeing to come on and do this job when I called you. I'm just so glad that the proof is in the pudding, and what we've accomplished together showed the rest of this board and the county what I knew all along, and that was you were probably the hardest working, most talented person I've ever met. And I'm just grateful for your friendship, and I'm grateful that we've been able to work together, and I appreciate you more than I could ever say. The election on November 7th probably would have never happened if it hadn't been for all that you've done to help me and help this county move forward. Teresa, Karen, Cindy, Reba, Darrell, Travis, all the men at the truck shop. Thank you all. It's been a pleasure to work with you. Boney, Kevin, Scott at the transfer station. Those men make us look good, and they work really, really hard. And it's been my pleasure to try to advocate for them. More money, more time off, more recognition for the miserable, tough job they do to support their families, and they do this county very well. It's been a really, really pleasure to get to know them and their families and work with them. And again, back to our staff, Teresa, you've just been great to me, and I appreciate everything you do. I've never asked for anything that wasn't done almost immediately. And again, moving on and success is a large part of the quality of people that we have working here for this county. And it's just been a great, great pleasure. As far as these board meetings are concerned, they've been a lot more difficult, in my opinion, than they should be. When you're 30 years younger than most anybody else on the board, and you are aggressive and want to see things get done, you guess I could rub the people the wrong way and they don't like it. But I'm glad that we've gotten some things done, exceptionally proud of the splash pad, exceptionally proud that we have some after-hours medical service in the county, exceptionally proud of the park rebuild in Bear Pen, and just proud of the work that Ms. Cronkott's doing and the rehab project on Red Onion, and now moving on to Irvington Elementary. Regardless of the chaos that happens in here on the fourth Tuesday of every month, we've been able to work, and thankfully through Larry Barton, that's why he's here, and He's here till midnight, and he'll be here at 7:30 in the morning. And this stupid stuff that goes on in here, just like what Ron did to me earlier, can be forgotten and we go to work. And I'm glad the Hayside District will finally have a representative that's, quality person that'll be in the district and be responsive. And another, supervisor won't have to answer all the calls and deal with it. So I think the Sandley community's got a lot to look forward to with Richard. I wish Richard the best, wish Chris Hall the best. And again, Larry, I thank you. I appreciate you more than I could ever say, so.
I think that's the best vote this board ever made, was to elect you as our county administrator, Larry.
Thank you.
Best vote I ever said yes to.
Entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll so move.
I'll second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Ayes.